Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I want to thank the Basque government inviting Emilia-Romagna to join this interesting initiative, contributing to promoting new approach to the industrial and social progress. I think we can have a look on this case, which is really strictly addressed to the smart specialization strategy of Emilia-Romagna and its implementation. Usually, we can look at the agenda. My agenda will deal a little bit about a short description. What is the Emilia-Romagna ecosystem in terms of industries, in terms of research offer. Then we will enter into the regional innovation policy, which has been ideally divided into two steps, a little bit overlapped. The first step between 2009-2014, where the high technology network took place, and from 2012 to 2020, at least in perspective to 2020, where this smart specialization strategy will go on, will be established. Under this respect, after having a strategy, we are now beginning to the implementation of the strategy. So what is from act to fact means starting from using the theory that we have drafted, how to bring it into reality. And finally, is a short summary. Well, the Emilia-Romagna has, let me say, about 4 million inhabitants, and is a well-developed region. The GDP for capita, I mean the index is 127 against 100 as an average of the European GDP, and includes a numbers of manufacturing companies of about 40,000. This is, let me say, an industrial region, but several things can be put into evidence to show how it is not just food, which is normally coming to the mind of people thinking. So I will left the food industry for the last picture. Yes, automation, packaging, wood machine. I'm not going to say in detail what happens. I think that the images are enough to explain the district where this take place. And of course, the industrial automation is maybe one of the most advanced sector, so that we are thinking to bring this sector in European evidence, leading our region into a smart thematic platform in that contest. A second area, again, regarding the industrial automation, is the agriculture machine, drilling and foundation equipment. Is again something which is well spread in the area. And also, what is the combination between mechanics and electronics, we call mechatronics. I would say that the personal opinion is that mechatronics is very much reducing the mix-up of electronics. So I normally call it Xtronics, because electronics can be applied to almost every kind of disciplines and products. So speaking of Xtronics, I think we have a couple of area, Bologna and Reggio Emilia, where this specialty is very much developed. How to not mention ceramics, tiles, and new application of them. Maybe you are aware that almost all ceramic industry in several countries, including China, have used up to now machinery coming from Emilia-Romagna. So this is really a very important sector. And again, remembering the three words that were the focus of the previous presentation, I want to say that people and cooperation, whereas not maybe so much division, are the key factor on the ceramics. Maybe you remember the terrible earthquake that we had 3 years ago. In that occasion, almost all the industries were destroyed to zero. And in 3 years, they came up again on production. And during that transition period, competitors became cooperators. So the company which had no so many damages have substituted the company with lost production and integrating them in order not to lose the market. So this was a very strong demonstration that cooperation in some period, in some special periods, is the key word to survive. Now they have been now are strongly competing against them, but the crisis is over. So that's another history. Well, health, wellness, biomedical devices are at ground for what you will see, one of the other important specialty in our region. As well, the food industry, finally. And we don't like so much that we are quoted for the mortadella, but it happens. And so I left for last point, even if the mortadella is one of the most safe product in our food industry. The first, which was accepted in the States because of the cooking of the ingredients. And so the entrance in the States was just through the mortadella and not through other more famous products. Well, yachts and luxury boats, you can find the Ferretti, for example, just in mind one name. But if you have a very special luxury boat, you can bet that is coming from our region. Last not least, of course, that's maybe our proud list of brands. And of course, this is not implying islands of competences. This is implying a substrate of big and small sub-industries which are really the basis for such relevant achievements. And also Lamborghini, for example, the yellow one, is one belonging to the Volkswagen Group. And it's not a case that they have established their competence center in Emilia-Romagna due to the fact that the competence is there, besides the brand that they are in this moment bringing on. Coming to the regional innovation policy, I want to mention, first of all, the infrastructure that we have in Emilia-Romagna. We have 6 public universities. One of them, 2 of them are the localization of Lombardy University. But most of all, we are speaking of 10 highly specialized research centers, which are here. And the National Research Council, the Italian National Agency, the ENEA. I hope you can read it clearly, but the Cineca is the largest Italian computing center. The big data is a very important item now. And in Emilia-Romagna, we have more than 60% of all the Italian computing power. And this has been maybe the reason for having the transfer of the Weather Forecasting Center, European Weather Forecasting Center, will be moved, has been decided that from England will be moved to Bologna, and this is a very recent achievement of our. But this is because we had an extremely high computing power and technicians belonging to that sector in our region. Altogether, we can have a sum up of 23,000 researchers and scientists, and well, in the university and the research institutions, and 56% also of these researchers are located into industries. The innovation regional policy has been developed according to a timeline starting from year 2000, where in Italy, the responsibility of the industrial research and technology transfer moves from national to regional level. That was a very important statement because starting from that, in the following years, our regional government got an agreement among research center and university, and this was a milestone because before them each university was working, let me say, insulated and was not connected. This agreement was able to establish a sort of a common practice, and on this practice, the regional network for research and innovation started in the first phase as a HIMEC, which is dedicated especially to the mechanical sector, but later on it becomes a high technology network in general. And it was funded with a regional co-funding, 50% into the high technology network, which is today still operating and will be, let me say, a key of our strategy, not specifically a smart specialization, but again, a pillar on which the smart specialization strategy is based. The high technology laboratories, let me have a short introduction of this, because without this organization, without this kind of organization, the smart specialization strategy could have been, let me say, considered an accessory, not based on a reality. We were in Helsinki at the beginning of June, and some criticism was arisen about the smart specialization strategy, just because not all regions had a strong enough structure, research structure and ecosystem. A smart specialization strategy can be supported only if there is a research system behind that or below that. So the logic of our research high technology network is, the logic is divided into two complementary directions. Competence, grouped in 6 thematic platforms, and support located in 10 technopoles. So the location is important to reach out to industries and to give some relay points where industries, namely small and medium enterprise, can reach the research offer. The platform that have been from the very beginning decided were regarding agri-food, construction, energy, ICT and design, mechanics, and life sciences. And the high technology was, let me say, was given a mission. It's not a vision, but more strictly a mission to this network. Give support to industrial enterprise, define international scenarios, foster company innovation attitude. We are speaking of something like almost 10 years ago, and the match between industry and academia was surely not so well defined as today. There were some, I would say, rumors that the university or academia was not reliable in operating on short-term needs. And so the first step was convince industry to consider the academic research as a resource and not as something additional. So the marketing and product development tools were also requested to the participants in order to disseminate information. At the end of this phase, 37 public laboratories and 66 operating group of, let's say, private laboratories were operating in the region. Very shortly, because this is of course not the focus of this presentation, is just to go through the agri-food platform, for example. And you can read, hopefully, but I'm not so sure that the lines are so clear. The raw material, final products, industrial equipment, health and functional foods, the construction platform, urban design, energy saving, maintenance of historical and artistic monuments. This is something that must be kept into account. We have a responsibility in Italy to maintain some cultural heritage, which is not belonging only to us, but belonging to I would say, humanity, to use a huge term. But again, there must be a special, let me say, competence to do that without destroying and changing, or let me say, having a major impact on that. The energy and environment platform, well, two colors means energy, and the second one is meaning environment. We never decided how to split energy from environment, and probably is the most wise thing not to distinguish so much energy and environment. ICT was a special case. In the original definition, ICT was not considered a platform because it is so transversal. So it was almost impossible to materialize that. But of course, speaking of discipline and speaking of science, there is a definite environment where ICT and design are really be considered a platform. Life, but not least, the life science platform, which is, let me say, regarding personalized medicine. Also, at the time we were discussing about the impact of the health issues are giving into a population which is going to be every year older and older. So this was the consideration, how to transform a need into an opportunity. Last but not least, mechanical and materials, which of course are the key of our, or let me say, the largest part of our region offer for research. Well, this is shortly a short overview, but this must be kept into mind, into consideration, because on this basis we can make a good strategy. The 10 technopoles. Well, this is even more just a picture sequence, because we have, if the things will go on, yes, we have in Reggio Emilia, we have in Modena and Mirandola, all new buildings. In each technopole, it is assumed that the company and researcher are meeting. Not all the disciplines are present in each technopole, but technopole is sort of a meeting point to readdress, in the case, the needs into the offer where it is located. Faenza, Ferrara, Ravenna, and this is, let me say, the last is still missing, the one which is in Bologna, because it is a very large center, 100,000 square meter, with historical industrial buildings. So this will be the place where the new weather technology forecast center will be located. Very short, I'm not spending so much in the role of Aster, the company I belong, because this is really the acting management system or company between university and industries. So we get this this role from the Emilia-Romagna regional government, which is managing the money and the contributions, but we are dispatching the contributions with the specific calls to the needs of one time needed by research, and other times by the industries. We put the system under monitoring because the system does exist if gets and provides results. So this was the assumption I was at the beginning discussing with the professors, because normally professors are very like to deliver competencies, which means sometimes paper and informations. We said a good network should deliver also money. And the results are just schematized here. You have two red label. This is the sum of activities in the time comprised between 2010 and 2016. We got 185 million euro as a turnover in contracts with industries. And 46% was funded exclusively by companies without the help of any kind of national, regional, or international fund. This is showing two things. First of all, the number, the amount of contracts that are 2,800 are saying that this network has almost doubled the funding received by the region at its establishment. And the second thing is that the confidence of companies is so become high that about 50% of those funding or those results are given directly from companies to the regional academic system. This is the basis on which we have built up the smart specialization strategy. Several services have been provided. First of all, I don't want to go to all this. Sorry, this is the true web page you can find by typing the address below. Is the research catalog. Research catalog was not invented, but at least applied. You can buy research in a sort of online business. You can commerce. You can, if you are available and you can read the lines, you can choose what you need and contact the professors directly. Now we come to the second part of this presentation. The regional innovation policy in the next, starting from 2012 and to the next future. First of all, I want to explain a little bit the methodology, cooperation and involvement. The regional ecosystem was involved through 8 focus groups. 5 draft position papers have been delivered. A public presentation was given at the end of the drafting period, and we launched an online public consultation. The momentum was to be achieved through the true participation of industries, the industrial, I would say the social agency, researchers, and also really specific companies, small and large companies. So the public consultation was necessary to get the consensus. Finally, we received, we delivered 5 papers to the regional authorities. This was the base on which the regional authorities have decided. Let me just stay 1 minute more on the numbers of people which were providing these papers, these acts. There was not a complicated, but a really invasive search for a team able to deal with it, with all those separately items, but the total of people involved is more than 100. So really, all the voices which had the interest and the necessity to explain the needs of each party was really present. And finally, the vision of the Emilia-Romagna, and again, the word vision is coming, 2 main priorities: reinforce the industrial important sector, which means existing sectors, and foster high growth and high potential sector. So one target was looking forward, 1,000 was looking at the present. Additionally, they took into account some cross drivers, socioeconomic trends, and innovation in services, which are not, let me say, dedicated to a special sector, but are transversal to all sectors. And the priority A, that is the pillars, the sector pillars, base for the regional specialization, were agri-food, building and construction, and mechatronics and transportation. No surprise that these are the most important in terms of people involved, working places, and turnover. But the priority B was looking to two other sectors: health and well-being industries and culture and creative industry. The last one may be surprising, but the consideration was really important in our environment, whereas this is also connected with tourism, and without that, this is impacting for about 10 to 15% of our regional turnover. So it was not to be neglected in that phase. And exactly what I'm saying, just the health and well-being industries are accounting for about 9%, culture and creative industries 6.9%, whereas, of course, the pillars, food, building, and mechatronics are covering a lot of, let me say, working places, over 1 million of employees, and 80% of the regional export. So this is the strategy act objective. Define the relevant technology roadmaps and their readiness according to some indicators: state of the art, H2020 social challenges, cohesion, global and economical microtrends. This word microtrends has been has been quoted also yesterday, but we gave a special attention to microtrends. Microtrends were normally not well considered in our academic, let me say, establishment, because it's something that happens without any participation. Microtrends are becoming evident maybe too late if you are not looking on them precisely. Microtrend is the aging of the population, is the urbanization, is the migration, is the e-commerce conversion. So it's really something that if you don't take care in an early stage, can be too late to be taken into consideration. Another strategy was searching the excellent to the most relevant key enabling technology, and why not reach a regional leadership in enabling an industrial technologies. Well, we are one of the most developed region in Italy, of course, and we are competing on a worldwide basis. So we try to keep that ongoing. This was basically our S3 strategy act. And it was really, if I can go back, yes, let me say structured into first level priority, and that are the list of specialization that I was mentioning before, but we went through a rather deep analysis also of what are the sub-levels, so what I call second level technology. And we reach also to the third level topics. So this was a sort of guidance which was really taken out from the people which were involved in those groups. All of them have worked on a voluntary basis. It was not a paid work. We were paid, Aster was paid, to keep under control. You can imagine the number of paper but at the end we go, if you see, there's integrated and sustainable agri-food value chain, nutrition, innovation, smart and green agri-food. Same applies, to mechatronics and transportation, You can find almost everything you are used to consider. And so I don't want to go so much in detail, but of course this paper is available, as well as available all the what I call ACT, which is, I think it's, in some cases it's written in English, in other cases written in Italian, so but we can provide some translation. Building and construction, and health and well-being industry. Again, I don't go into detail, which is really boring in this situation, and cultural and creative industries. The third level topics were as well covered by this documentation. Now, I was promising you some more concrete actions. 2 minutes. And so I spent too much. Sorry. Well, the real implementation was going into supporting the 3 priority, which is the industrial participated cluster, strong and stable management, and inclusiveness for public and private research lab, innovation, and transfer center. We have the industry participation has become a distinctive attribute of the Emilia-Romagna S3. It is difficult to be achieved because a lot of cultural hurdles are between industries and, let me say, aggregation. They are not so used to participate to the open innovation activity. The name that we gave to this cluster is a sort of cluster as a meaning, but we call cluster, which is Emilia-Romagna cluster, sort of a trade name. We have, and we have 7 associations with that are legal entities. And these legal entities have a governance. So this is sometimes is not. Okay, that are legal entities, and the members of each cluster is organized in a value chain. Why a value chain? That's the governance. I have just, it's a typical governance of an association, but the aggregation is, let me say, under the configuration of the value chain. I will go to this. What is a value chain? A value chain is a sort of line on which all the industries can find their place. Because the real problem is how to convince a company to join a cluster when this cluster has no specific identification. You don't know where to put yourself. You don't know where is the right and useful place to cooperate, which is with the companies or with the labs which are upstream, and what is your operation to go downstream towards. And so we have material, processes, post-process, and application, and the circular economy closing the loop. And this is the way a company can find the place. You have a sort of listing, and each company, by joining this, will find the place, company and labs. Each cluster is including in each value chain the position of all the industry and all the labs. This is, I don't want to go, just 2 minutes are really too much. This is the list of cluster, and they are the split into value chain. No surprise that each value chain has its own chart, and its value chain has a sort of internal, informal management. And this is coming to this is the way that the existing high technology network on the left is still giving contribution to the value chain. So both organizations are going on in a very harmonized way. Let me go to the final summary. This is the evolution of our ecosystem. And today, what we are aiming is increase the involvement of companies, research-driven to innovation-driven, approach to the market, flexible and dynamic model, and most of all, entrepreneurship, which will probably identify, we hope to identify new product and business model. The last is what is more a wish. This is a structure which will lead the Emilia-Romagna into a very, let me say, cooperative way into two systems, the Vanguard initiative that was quoted several times, and also the Smart Specialization platform, which is seeing Emilia-Romagna, let me say, in a not maybe leading position, but a cooperating position. Thank you very much for your attention.